I feel like there's there's so many voids to be filled.
I feel like there's such countless voids to be filled, folks. You will have a hard time believing who's mixing the pot with a new piece of old-fashioned trauma. So Rihanna, our always savage sovereign, concluded the time had come to school Drake after he figured he could toss a little melodic shade her direction. And let you know Riri wasn't going to let him free without a cheeky applaud back. You see, Rihanna, the expert of epic Twitter takedowns, has had her reasonable part of show with Drake, yet this time she adopted an alternate strategy. She chose to put her own twist on the dramatization, showing she's one to be played with. Imagine that I have such a huge amount on my plate that I couldn't in fact carve out the opportunity to engage right presently was insane, the umbrella hitmaker and the rapper were followed by here and there sentiment bits of gossip from 2009 to 2018. And since their last parted, there has been hypothesis that Drake neglected to move past her well to see where the current emotional go of their tempestuous relationship began. Let me take you there. So it seems like Drake can't bear seeing Riri cheerful without him. So he purportedly delivered the entire tune about his ex. And in the event that you believe it's a phony voting form about his forever brilliant love for this young lady, very much let me stall down for you. Evidently a portion of the verses focused on the sovereign Riri. Ought to have seen the light check was this man expounded on her, why they make it sound like I'm actually hung up on you, that would never be cunning, can't run me, preferable him over me better. It's not me I'm on, better believe it. And the closeness was normal with you. It's practically similar to he's attempting to mix the tattle pot such a long time later, and are simply not having it yet. Hello, in this industry, where show sells a little fight, keeps the fans engaged, and Drake is giving us enough to discuss. Some craftsmen need to play a person to make progress. After the track was delivered, there seemed hypotheses about Drake actually being hung up on the Barbados magnificence. Well, it resembles he's trapped in a ceaseless circle of his adoration fixation. It's normal for stars to convey lights for their past love interests. Since he called the vocalist his definitive dream, it seemed like he was unable to move past her dismissal. With all due respect, Rihanna then referenced that she was attempting to keep away from an embarrassment I could do without to be placed on impact. We don't have a fellowship currently yet. We're not foes. Possibly what will be. Nevertheless, years went by. We actually see that presently Drake's attempting to hurt the umbrella artist by saying you weren't truly that great young lady. The Rihanna and Drake love adventure has a larger number of exciting bends in the road than a thrill ride. And obviously, Riri presently believes it's not her concern that this man is somewhat fixated on her this evening. Isn't exactly about me, on the grounds that the object is greater than me, right? The 2016 Vives. When Drake essentially admits his forever brilliant love for Rihanna, before the whole world felt like the last nail into the cascade of his heartfelt expectations. Even the sensational pants and feints from the crowd didn't alter Ree's perspective on this man, and she's ventured from his kiss like an ace. It was an exemplary companion zone second. And aside from disarray, it likewise brought about worldwide embarrassment for the Canadian rapper. And obviously he has been nursing his disdain towards Riri this large number of applause years. I mean, he essentially set her in a terrible situation before the whole world, and the young lady did the main thing she could at that point. How anyway? It seems like with years she got more certainty and won't hesitate to defend herself with regards to such circumstances. Recall her popular tweet, each time that asson's facing me will fall. Well, the young lady most certainly knows how to manage Drake. And albeit this man acts with most extreme lack of regard, it appears as though individuals are not feeling frustrated about him any longer, as one individual remarked, 7 years. Yet crying over a lady who doesn't need you, and turned you at the VMA grants, and another client added, "E frantic on the grounds that she is cheerful." And never cared a lot about him, he felt like, since he is Drake. And he realized she don't require nothing from him by any means, except for assuming that you believe that this was the entire story and Drake was basically an insane stalker clearly. There's something else to tell in Drake, spilled by any means later around the same time. After the VM is chatting on the shop, Drake conceded that wedding Rihanna would have been similar to a fantasy and would have jumped at the chance to have jokes with her sometime, or another that dependence of work and achievement and positive progress is over. I feel like we are in general going to require something genuine ideally. It's not past the point of no return. And from that point forward, there has been no joint efforts between the two specialists, gracious dear Drake. It appears as though he's nursing a despair that actually won't end, while he's off making millions. And keeping the co-nurturing areas of strength for Game his child mother, there's a bit of warmth Thistle actually held up in his side. And it's molded like Rihanna anyway, is by all accounts carrying on with her best life the present moment. And there's a bad situation for Drake in her life. She has it all, the wealth a caring man, and her very own group, and little did she expect in these joyful snapshots of her life, an oldie but a goodie. It's like somebody came to your party, excluded and destroyed all pleasant damnation of irritating. As well, yet I realize certain individuals get aggravated now. Here's the kicker: Rihanna has never been the one to parade her own life, so that the world might be able to see whether she and Drake had anything in the past. It was undeniably covered in mystery, yet when it came to her ongoing man, quickly rough, she's yelling their affection from the housetops. It resembles a current fantasy. And it's no big surprise Drake may be feeling somewhat pungent. And to add more flavor to the dramatization, Drake and Ruff used to be on great conditions. They weren't best buds. Yet they were in the cool club together, well before in the middle, between and Drake detached himself from both by and expertly. Now, Drake's presumably left with a sample of harshness. It resembles a twofold shot of desire, losing both the young lady and a companion. No doubt, obviously, individuals can begin making statements that hurt you, that annoy you, and keeping in mind that you might feel that time mends every one of the injuries, certainly not the situation for Drake. That troublesome Rihanna-formed Thistle, in all likelihood, won't move. It resembles an adoration phantom that torment him, notwithstanding the entirety of his accomplishments, and his affection life muddled, as it can get. Well, it appears as though it's somewhat of a thrill ride for the rapper ladies. Go back and forth, yet Rihanna, goodness Rihanna, she's the person who moved away. As the rapper once admitted, he genuinely had faith in his blissful closure with the young lady of his fantasies. As life comes to fruition and shows you your own illustrations, I end up in this present circumstance where I don't have the fantasy. Like goodness, Drake began a family with Rihanna. And this resembles so wonderful. So, in the terrific adventure of affection stores and popularity, we have Drake, the man of numerous victories, yet additionally, the one who really can't shake off the Rihanna blues, and continues to reiterate the old stuff in his melody. Back to your returning to your inquiry, however, I have recently felt the opposite side of it. So that is somewhat where that line came from. So, as yet being profoundly harmed, Drake, seen as nothing better than to diss his first love in his freshest track. And you might be asking as of now, what did Rihanna really do well? In her exemplary design, the sovereign of clapbacks chooses to drop a bomb of shade on Instagram. She posted, my exes are generally not hitched or in cheerful connections. So most would agree that I wasn't an issue aloof. The shade is major areas of strength for so may very well shut out the child. Rihanna truly knows where to hit Drake where it harms anything that I do. I'm that irritating young lady who will discuss everything except, despite the fact that it might sound a piece cruel evidently. It's what the Canadian rapper really merits after his rude verses about Way. It's more than clear that in this story, all the smoke goes for Drake on the grounds that Rihanna is out there carrying on with her best existence, with her family and organizations. Well, he's crying about ladies who didn't need him yet. Is it actually Drake's shortcoming? Or is he understanding that all the social capital he's gathering aided doesn't naturally make him a catch? Some believe he's battling with this disclosure, While others are bringing up his developing sexism, it resembles he assumed he was qualified for Rihanna and needed to show how much her dismissal had harmed him or someone has that a very remarkable, a unique finger impression on your identity. As an individual, it's only vital to begin showing everything well plainly Drake likely necessities. Some serious guiding as of now, since he's being set off by his own dreams. And obviously, his endeavor to diss Ran is just the result of his profoundly injured self-image. As one individual commented, Drake is giving me future energies. It's been years he's as yet pungent. And another client added up, until this point appears as though the person who's